Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, let's get this meeting rolling.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay.
Nina will tell us when we can start.
All right, we're live. We're live.
Can we start, Nina?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order, the May 5th City Council meeting. We had the pledge. Nina, would you please do the roll call?
Councilperson Alvarez,
Here.
Councilperson Pogorski,
Here.
Councilperson Geishurst,
Here.
Councilperson Clem,
Here.
Councilperson Williams,
Here.
Councilperson Gully,
Here.
Councilperson
I
Zilli.
come
Here.
across.
Yes,
Hey, Nina.
I heard you.
Okay, I didn't know if I come across or not.
You're good.
Okay, we have the
Okay.
approval, we have the approval of the April 7th minutes. I'm gonna do the minutes separately. So would someone make a motion to approve the April 7th minutes?
I'll
I'll make a motion.
Yes.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the April 7th meeting. Is there any further discussion? If not, Nina, please call the roll.
Councilperson Alvarez,
Yes.
Councilperson Pogorski,
Yes.
Councilperson Geishurst,
Yes.
Councilperson Clem,
I think Pat just dropped out of the meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm
You lost
trying to hook back in.
We hear you, Pat.
Okay, I vote yes. Pass the
Okay.
minutes.
Councilperson Williams,
Yes.
Councilperson Gully,
Yes.
Councilperson Zilli.
Yes.
We now need to approve the minutes from the April 17th meeting. Do
I'll
we
make
have
a motion to approve.
We
Second.
have we have a motion by Collins, seconded by Brian. Any further discussion on the minutes? If not, Nina, please call the roll.
Councilperson Alvarez,
Yes.
Councilperson Pogorski,
Yes.
Councilperson Zilli,
Yes.
Councilperson Gully,
Yes.
Councilperson Williams,
Yes.
Councilperson Clem. We'll come back to Pat. Councilperson Geishurst,
Yes.
Yeah,
Pat,
Oh, I heard him.
I'm trying. Yes.
okay.
Okay, we have communication, correspondence, announcements from the mayor. I do not have any at this time. So we'll move on to the clerk treasurer's report.
All I have is just whether or not we want to move forward with the Indiana Bond Bank mid-year advance funding for cash flow purposes in the event we have a shortfall in our June settlement. If we decide to move forward with that, I have to submit the application by the 8th. I have to get the cash flow statements to them by the 15th. And then we will need to draft an ordinance, which they will give to us, that will set out the amounts. When I give them the cash flow statements, it'll kind of, they've got a template, so it'll kind of adjust by itself and give us the figures that we may need. And then you would end up approving an ordinance for borrowing those specific amounts. And then we would get the funds distributed June 25th.
Nina, can you, just for the public watching, clarify on borrowing what the interest rate is and why we're in the, like, why we have to go through this?
So the reason that the Indiana Bond Bank is offering this funding program, they don't typically do a mid-year advance funding. It is just borrowing money that is from, we're borrowing from ourselves, basically. It's just an advance on our tax, it's basically a tax anticipation loan. The Indiana Bond Bank is this, like a state quasi agency, so we wouldn't have to seek multiple bids from different banks to get the right rate. They're going to automatically give us the lowest rate, which is usually 2-something%.
And I think one of the reasons that this is important that we move forward on this advanced funding is because of the uncertainty of what our property tax draw is going to be.
Right.
We have no way to anticipate exactly. I think with a lot of confidence we can say it's not going to be 100% because people are going to delay paying their property taxes. So it's important that we be proactive in this case and approve this advanced funding.
Right. We will. There's no penalties, that would be assessed if we pay it back sooner or anything like that.
I was going to say, so Nina, are we borrowing, we're borrowing from our June disbursement, or I'm sorry, we're borrowing from our December disbursement to get it earlier in June, right? Is that my understanding?
Correct, because our June disbursement will very likely be not 100% that was counted on because of COVID-19 and people being allowed to pay their tax bills 60 days late.
Okay, so we're not expecting this to affect our December disbursement beyond the fact that we're just getting the money earlier in the year.
Not unless there's a lot of bankruptcies.
Okay.
So I have a question, Nina. Is this also in lieu of any other type of bond that we may have to do?
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
cash flow?
This is just cash flow. And we have to keep in mind too, in December of 2019, the city issued an advance, a very large sum advance of their 2020 tax revenue. So we have a bond payment that will be coming due that we have to make sure we can cover.
Right.
Yeah.
So for sure, you know, it could look, I'd rather be safe than sorry. I guess I'll just say that.
Okay. But we're just, I'm gonna talk out of turn.
It's putting a Band-Aid on a problem.
We're robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Mhm.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, this isn't a permanent solution. This is just a temporary
Right.
solution directly related to the potential and likely cash flow problem that will stem from not getting 100% of our June settlement.
Among other things.
Curious, have we asked other municipalities around us how many others are taking advantage of this? Do we know, Nina?
So I belong to like a list service that many clerk treasurers in cities and towns in Indiana participate in. So there's a lot of guidance, and it seems like a lot of municipalities are taking advantage of it, even if they don't need it, even if they have reserves, just in case.
Colin is
I would, go ahead.
speaking to mayors around the state. They're doing the same thing. Everybody's just getting nervous about what our income is going to be for the rest of the year.
Okay.
It's just
And
a lot of
then,
uncertainty.
do we know, have we heard anything from the auditor, what we're expecting the hit to be to us, to our books for the year with
She said
property tax draws
She
being
said
down?
it's too soon to tell.
Okay.
She's trying to get us sort of a blow by blow, Colin, as she figures it out. Again, about 31% of property taxes are paid through escrow. So we're kind of hoping that the mortgage companies are making their escrow payments like they should, so it won't be a 100% hit. But as Nina correctly noted, there's a lot of variables like bankruptcies and folks that becoming insolvent, and there's a little bit of guesswork here, I'm afraid.
Thank you, everybody.
So, I mean, we could get our June draw and, you know, and be like, oh, okay, we're okay, and pay it back right away.
And on that, so if we borrow and we pay back early, how does the interest work on that, Nina? Are we locked in to pay the interest rate on the full amount, or do we have a certain amount of time to pay back?
I don't have a memorization table yet, so I can't answer that. I can ask them if they have that information and get back to you.
Yeah, I'd hate for us to borrow and then our tax draw not be hit as hard as we thought it was, and then we are paying interest for money that we ended up not needing. So I'm hopeful that they're kind of giving us leeway to say, okay, if you pay back X amount within 30 or 60 days, you are not going to get hit with interest.
Right. Right, and I can reach out and find out that answer tomorrow.
Thank you.
But I think we need a motion. We need a motion this evening to get things in place, because we have to, this has to be applied for Friday, you said, May 8th?
In order to get the June 25th distribution, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I'd make a motion that we authorize the clerk treasurer to seek from the Indiana Bond Bank a mid-year advance funding.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second on instructing the clerk treasurer to set up the Indiana Bond Bank mid-year advance funding.
Real quick, Nina, will we be requesting the most that we can request from them? Or are we thinking it's going to be somewhere south of what we could request?
I would request that, and when I have conversations with them, only what we need.
Okay, thank you. And I see a question on Facebook, and I guess that's a good question. Have we applied for any of the Paycheck protection loans? I don't think we qualify, right?
Right. There's a new, there was just, the governor had released, Dan, maybe you know more about this. There was 300,000 or 300 million that got released that's going to go to different government agencies, but I haven't gotten any guidance on how that's going to be determined, who gets what. I think it's on population size, but that's it.
And I
So
think
Nina,
in our
Nina, we met with the assistant to the governor, the mayors did yesterday, and they're gonna put out a checklist of what we can use that money for, and they have not gotten their checklist together yet. I think that we're gonna find that if to pay salaries and things, that's gonna be questionable. Like if we hired a new person to help us just get through the COVID stuff, that person would be eligible. But we need to be vigilant at keeping all of our receipts because they're emphatic that you need to have receipts and you need to justify those expenses. So every department that has a COVID expense, we need to get those receipts to you so that when we can file for that, we have everything that we need. So
Right.
everybody's
We would definitely have receipts because we wouldn't pay anything without it.
yeah.
We also had built that COVID-19 payroll code in ADP to be able to track that also. Any
But
type
I'm
of pay.
feeling, Nina, that they're not gonna give us money for that. So I'm looking at the FEMA money as well. So I think we have to look at different pots of money, and the state just hasn't come out with all that yet.
No, they
I think
haven't.
the other members around the northern part of the state, like myself, we're pushing them to be a little more specific about what they're going to do for us.
Mhm. We did receive approximately $28,000 for the CARES provider relief funds, but there are a lot of strings attached to that. Not really strings, but there's a lot of reporting requirements, and we have to create our own fund, a 264 fund for it. I did talk with Chief Sosby about it today, and we have to look a little bit further, but we believe a lot of the protection equipment, like the plexiglass that we're working on getting, can be used for that. He also said that once they're able to order, they had an order in and then FEMA came in and they weren't allowed to, their order got canceled, but more of a washable PPE, like gowns. That way they don't have to worry about that purchase again in the event this returns in the fall. So they're going to keep their eye out on that, and we think that is an eligible purchase.
FEMA came in and canceled the order? Like we were ordering from someone and FEMA came in and took it from us?
Yes.
So Nina and council members, there is a new, it's called PPE Marketplace, and it's going to open in the next few days. And it's kind of like a state agency. If you Google PPE Marketplace, you can read about it. We'll be able to purchase things through there. So just Google it. They don't have it ready yet, but they're working on it. There was another thing I wanted to tell you about the $300 million. When I talked to Chief Sosby today as well, and I'm hoping that for like the plexiglass and all the PPE stuff and the stuff that Norma's getting for everybody's desk, that we can take that out of that 300 million part that we get rather than spending any of that CARES money, Nina. I think we need to hang on to that as long as we can. If there's something that the state's going to allow us to get money back from, we need to dip into that pot first.
Oh, sure. And I know when we received the automatic deposit of funds for the CARES provider relief fund well before we got any guidance from the state on what we had to do with it once we got it.
Okay.
So it sat there for a few days before we got a directive from the State Board of Accounts. So I think everyone's kind of trying to figure this out together, and some things happen before everyone else has time to catch up.
Yeah, it's like they deposited the money and then they sent the voluminous landscape of things you have to do to spend it.
Right.
Very odd.
It's a lot. I mean, they created a portal for it. You have to go in and accept the terms and the agreements, and then there's a lot of reporting requirements attached to the funds. So it's almost kind of, I mean, you don't want to reject any funds, of course, but it's like, okay, well, how much is it going to cost to accept this money? But
I know of a lot of organizations that don't accept federal funds for that very reason.
Yep.
So we have a motion and a second, allowing Nina to go to the Indiana Bond Bank for mid-year advance funding. If there's no further discussion, Nina, would you do the roll call, please?
yes, ma'am. Councilperson Alvarez,
Yes.
Councilperson Podgorski,
Yes.
Councilperson Geishurst,
Yes.
Councilperson Clem,
Yes.
Councilperson Williams,
Yes.
Councilperson Gully,
Yes.
Councilperson Zilli.
Yes.
So that ends our unfinished business. Moving on to new business, we have none. Are there any other matters not already considered before the council that anybody would like to bring up?
There's been a couple questions, Mayor, about, from a couple of council members, and I think Deb in particular, about the forfeiture funds that the police department might be getting here in the near future with respect to the drug forfeitures and the seizures. And Nina and I have been working with the auditor on that, and it's looking like there's not much that the city council needs to do about that. That the fund was established by statute that enabled the forfeitures. So we have that fund intrinsically. So Nina and I are working with the auditor to see what might be the easiest and best way Nina feels to sort of track that money coming in and out. Is that correct, Nina?
Yes.
So just want to give you that update on that, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
Dan.
you.
It seems that there's a broad use of fund, a broad use for the funds, but we just want to make sure because, well, I don't want to get in
Don't want to
trouble.
mess that up. Yeah, don't want to mess that up. So just to like give you an update, Ron.
I know that Hobart gets quite a bit of money in seizure funds. Have you checked with their clerk treasurer to see how that works for them?
No,
Lake
I
County
haven't.
does, yeah, Nina, Lake County does it differently.
Okay.
And that was some of the issue with when the county set it up here in Porter County. Lake County had a different method, which wasn't really, I think, necessarily proper. So that was part of the deal with Porter County setting up the way they did. So we've not really reached out, other than the county reaching out to Lake County to see how they did it, and then we realized that wasn't really the way to do it. So.
From what I understand, what I gathered from Vicky was too, the prosecutor automatically gets a portion, just like SWAT team, I believe, the sheriff's department, and then whatever municipality the seizure takes place in.
That's
gets their
right.
share.
It's a share, and that's all set out. I used to do these for Lake County. I used to do the legal work for some of the seizures and forfeitures in Lake County years ago. And the court order signed by the judge lays out who
Right.
gets what portion. So it's all pretty clear. Well, all we need to worry about here is, tracking it coming in and tracking it going out. But as Nina correctly noted, the statute's pretty broad on broader than you'd think on the use of it. But we're there and we're ready. And so I just want to let everybody know that hopefully this will be something that helps our police department.
Yeah, because we don't want them to lose out on that money.
Right,
No.
right.
Heck no.
So are there any other matters to come before the council? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Nina, would you call the roll, please?
Councilperson Alvarez,
Yes.
Councilperson Podgorski,
Yes.
Councilperson Geishurst,
Yes.
Councilperson Clem,
Yes.
Councilperson Williams,
Yes.
Councilperson Gully,
Yes.
Councilperson Zilli.
Yes.
So just to remind you all, we have a meeting on Thursday at 5 PM.
It is at 5. Okay.
It is at 5 PM, and Nina will get you all hooked in.
All right.
Sounds good.
Everybody have a nice evening.
Everybody
Have a
stay
good night,
safe.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take
Good
care,
night.
everyone.
See you later.